During the day, crowds were friendly outside the Red Cross headquarters and Lennon's Hotel as Madame Key arrived and departed. But by the time her husband arrived back from Canungra, the crowds had built up to almost 2,000, including many anti-Vietnam demonstrators. Fights broke out between the rival factions and 14 people were arrested. However, all this was forgotten by the next day as the visitors left for Sydney. The second Air Vietnam plane carrying many of the official party followed the RAAF Viscount carrying the Prime Minister. At Sydney's Kingsford Smith Airport, more than 300 police outnumbered the welcoming crowd. The Premier of New South Wales, Mr Askin, escorted Madame Key as she went with her husband towards the safety fence. The cheers and applause from the crowd had prompted the South Vietnamese leader once again to brush aside his security men and go to speak to the people. Sydney, with a population of 2.25 million, is the largest city in Australia. But few residents on this Saturday afternoon had an opportunity of seeing the visitors at close range. The motorcade carrying them to Kirribilli House travelled to and through the city at speeds up to 50 miles an hour. Small groups of people dotted the route, and at one of the city's busiest intersections, several hundred people lined the road, most carrying posters in support of the distinguished visitor. A carload of police and security men headed the procession with Air Vice Marshal Key's limousine and other official cars flanked by a line of police motorcycles. The temperature at this time was in the high 80s, and it was stifling in the airless city streets. Officials made a last-minute change in the route to avoid more than 3,000 demonstrators near Kirribilli House. Instead of driving across the harbour bridge, the party was taken down to Circular Quay. The organisers of the procession had decided that Air Vice Marshal Key and Madame Key should cross Sydney Harbour by boat. The Governor of Victoria, Sir Rowan Dellicombe, and Lady Dellicombe greeted their guests and all posed for the cameramen before moving inside. About 2,000 demonstrators were gathered outside the gates of Government House, and Air Vice Marshal Key made an unscheduled drive through them before reverting to the official program, meeting Vietnamese students who are studying at universities and colleges in Melbourne. Then came the last news conference, at which Air Vice Marshal Key impressed with his skill at answering the varied questions put to him.
Coming back to your Australian visit, are you sure, now that it's almost over, that you've seen enough of the Australian people to get your message across? Are you satisfied that we saw enough of it?
I don't know, frankly. But what I see, what I hear, and what I read in the newspaper, I think yes. Well, if not, I will ask you to help me. If you believe in me. Yes.
Mr. Prime Minister, one of the criticisms which has been most often levelled against your struggle against the Viet Cong Vietnam is that this is an unwinnable war. Obviously, you don't think that it is an unwinnable war, but would you agree that it is possible that the war against the Viet Cong is unwinnable?
Oh, unwinnable. Yeah. In other words, you mean that we cannot win this war, right? That is your question? No, I think the contrary. I think this is a winnable war. We are going to win, no doubt.